So we're going to demonstrate how to blanch. Blanching is taking a fruit or a vegetable and submerging in hot boiling water and then removing it and shocking into ice cold water bath to be able to stop the cooking process. So as you see, we have our water. It's coming to a simmer. Doesn't need to be a rapid boil, but a nice simmer. As you see, the bubbles are heavily starting to develop in the pot. You're going to salt the water, heavily salt it, so that way whatever item that you're blanching, the salted water, whatever item that you're blanching, the fruit or vegetable takes on the salt and gives it a nice flavor profile to start the cooking technique. All right, so we have our water boiling, we have our salt. We'll take our bok choy, which we're going to blanch today. You usually want to pull off any yellow leaves or any leaves that you feel as if, won't stand up. As such, as we have it here, submerge it into the water. And you want to ask, how long do you need to blanch it for? You want to blanch, depending on the size of the object, depending on how much product you have in your water. Because remember, anytime you add anything to your hot water that's not already hot, it's going to bring the temperature of the water down. So you want to give it a couple seconds to bring the bubbles back up. We'll give it a stir, we'll turn it over, and then we'll check the doneness of the bok choy, and then we'll submerge it into our ice bath. So make sure you fully submerge it. And the ice bath helps stop the cooking process. Because if you don't put it in an ice bath, it may be perfectly cooked coming out of the hot water, but then if you let it sit, the cooking will continue to cook and could potentially overcook your food item. So you see, we took it from our hot boiling salted water, and here you have our blanched and shocked baby bok choy. So here we're going to blanch off our haricots, which is known as French beans or green beans. They're just a little bit skinnier than your traditional green bean. These are already snipped and cleaned on both ends, so they're ready to go. So you just want to take them. You have your water that we salted. Now we'll add our haricots. We'll let them sit for about 1 minute or so. Remember, for your haricots, your green beans, you want them to have a nice crisp bite to them. You don't want them to be mushy, so when you bite into them, you have a nice little crunch. But again, you don't want them to be raw as well. And sometimes you may wonder, I was blanching some green beans or some broccoli, and they were nice and beautifully green, and then I set them to the side, went to go do some other things, and I came back, and they were brown. Or when I got ready to, cook them later on, when they were cold, they were nice and green. The next day I went to cook them off. What happened? It's more than likely what happened was you cooked them, they were perfectly fine. When you pulled them out, instead of stopping the cooking process, they continued to cook. And here you go. Our blanched and shocked haricots, also known as French green beans. So we're blanching cauliflower. We have our salted hot water here, or our boiling water here. We're adding our salt. So always want to make sure you salt your water first. Take a little bit of. And this technique is called blanching, where you're submerging a fruit or vegetable in water to start the cooking process, and then to shock it, you're pulling it out of the hot boiling water and placing it into an ice bath to start the cooking process. So here we go. This is our cauliflower. As such. Give it about a minute on that side, then we'll flip it over. And you're working with cauliflower, you can either cut it in the size or the shape that you're, wanting to end up with, or you can blanch it whole with the whole head of cauliflower. You can do a marinated roasted cauliflower. You could do, people call it the chicken bites or boneless chicken, buffalo chicken, cauliflower bites. Same technique. You want to blanch it first, then you can dredge it into whatever your seasoning is, your batter, crispy fry it, and then toss it in the buffalo sauce. But I do recommend blanching it lightly first. Not a lot, just that it gives it a nice more doneness versus a raw effect if you don't fry it long enough. So some things we found in trying to make the buffalo cauliflower bites is that when you go to fry them, they're still a little bit raw. So I recommend blanching them lightly first, pulling them out, shock them, cut them to the size that you want, and then you can bread them and fry them, toss them in your buffalo sauce. So they're just one of many dishes that you can do with cauliflower. Just nicely blanch. Now we're going to shock it, the ice bath. And here you go.